Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a new poll is out on the race for San Diego mayor. And tonight we'll have a look at what the fight over defense spending in Washington could mean for us in San Diego.
He may be one of the most well-known birthers in America. The lawyer who has become known for challenging President Barack Obama's citizenship could become a San Diego County Superior Court judge. Gary Creep is at the roundtable. Evening Edition starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. The first post-primary poll is out tonight for the San Diego mayor's race, and it's a dead heat between Councilman Carl DeMaio and Congressman Bob Filner. The poll comes from our media partner, 10 News. It shows Filner at 46% and DeMaio at 43%. The survey has about a 4% margin of error. Filner also got support from a majority of those who voted for Bonnie Dumanis last week. Voters who supported Nathan Fletcher are evenly split on the mayor's race. Today, DeMaio picked up endorsements from 4 San Diego Council members. Kevin Falconer and Lori Zaff were joined by Councilman-elect Scott Sherman and Mark Kersey. Kersey will replace DeMaio in the 5th District. DeMaio says he hopes to form a consensus with the 4 on the City Council. There's still no word tonight from the U.S. Supreme Court about the Mount Soledad cross. The court's been asked to review an appeals court ruling declaring the cross unconstitutional. The justices met last week to discuss whether to take the case, but it wasn't mentioned in today's announcements. Court watchers say it could mean more discussion at their next meeting on Thursday. Federal regulators will hold a public meeting next Monday to tell what inspectors have observed at the San Onofre nuclear power plant. It will be the first in a series of meetings planned by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. The plant has been shut down since January because of leaks in its steam generator tubes. Southern California Edison says it will not bring the plant back online before the summer. State lawmakers face a Friday deadline to pass a spending plan. California faces a $16 billion budget deficit. Democratic leaders met today with Governor Jerry Brown to come up with a way to avoid nearly $2 billion in welfare cuts. Brown's budget depends on voters approving a tax initiative in November. A new study says some widely prescribed cholesterol-lowering drugs can cause fatigue. UC San Diego researchers looked at medications including Lipitor, Crestor, and Zocor, known as statin drugs. They studied more than 1,000 adults and found those who take statin drugs are significantly more likely to experience fatigue while at rest and during exercise compared to those not taking the drugs. It's the second time this year statin drugs have made the news because of side effects. In February, the FDA called for additional safety warnings because of concern over rare but serious risk of liver damage, memory loss, and diabetes. The Supreme Court has refused to hear an appeal challenging President Obama's U.S. citizenship. The case challenging the president was argued by Gary Creep, a Ramona lawyer. Creep is also running neck and neck in a San Diego County Superior Court race, a race still too close to call tonight. Joanne Farian speaks with Gary Creep at the roundtable.
Gary Creep versus Garland Peed. The names Creep versus Peed were enough to generate some buzz on the blogosphere, even mention on the national talk show circuit. But one of the candidates, Gary Creep, has long made news for other reasons. Here's a clip from a 2009 infomercial about President Barack Obama's citizenship.
On today's program, I have with me attorney Gary Creep, who's the executive director of the United States Justice Foundation. Gary has been on the front lines of trying to force the president to produce his official state of Hawaii birth certificate.
Gary Creep sued President Obama on Inauguration Day and is now suing the California Secretary of State, demanding she verify the citizenship of all presidential candidates before they appear on the November ballot. Gary Creep is also close to becoming a San Diego County Superior Court judge. He joins me now. Gary, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on your show.
So first, let's talk about this race that is still too close to call. Last you heard, are you winning or losing?
I'm 1,093 votes down with 88,000 votes to count. Now, on Thursday at 5 p.m., I was 156 votes down, and Garland obtained that 900 vote edge by the counting of 25 or 27,000. So I have very good reason to believe that I'll pick that up and more when they count the rest of the 88,000 votes.
We were talking earlier, this may in fact be the closest race ever in the history of Superior Court judge in San Diego County. I want to let people at home know, again, you're running against San Diego prosecutor Garland Peed. He declined to be on today's show. He tells us he will wait patiently for election results. I mentioned earlier your lawsuit against President Barack Obama, and that lawsuit was on behalf of Reverend Wiley S. Drake. Now, controversial figure himself, Southern California minister who once called on First Southern Baptist Church flock to pray for Obama's death. Why did you sue the president?
Well, the whole purpose of the lawsuit, and by the way, I didn't file that lawsuit. The January 2009 lawsuit, somebody else did. But because of the lack of abilities of that attorney, I was asked to take over it for a number of clients. And I currently represent Dr. Alan Keyes, of African-American descent, Markham Robinson, and Dr. Wiley Drake in that case. But we did that because we believe that it's important to protect the Constitution. It's important for people to have faith in our government and faith in our elected officials. And Mr. Obama's spending of over $2 million, according to published reports, to keep people from seeing his real birth certificate, which no one has yet seen. We've seen copies, purported copies of it. We've seen computer compilations of various documents that are supposed to be the real birth certificate, but no one's ever seen the real one. And in fact, the governor of the state of Hawaii earlier this year said they didn't have Mr. Obama's birth certificate in Hawaii official records. Only 3 months later, all of a sudden they found it. So,
do you think Barack Obama is a citizen of the United States? I
have sincere doubts. According to his paternal step-grandmother, who stated in a published statement, a recorded statement that no one has ever disputed, he was born in Mombasa, in what is now Kenya, and she performed a Zulu birth ritual on him. Now, why would one of his own and other cousins of his have confirmed this? So why would his own family say he was born in Mombasa? And because of federal law, if he was born in Mombasa, he's not even a U.S. citizen.
Let's talk about the other lawsuit, the more recent one here in California. Do you think Mitt Romney's a citizen?
Well, questions have been raised about that, and the purpose of the lawsuit is to challenge Elections Code Section 6901. The Secretary of State of California is required by law to verify the eligibility of every candidate for every office in California, including president and vice president. However, a law passed by the Democrats a few years ago placed the ability to determine who's the candidate, who should be on the presidential ballots for the Republican and Democrat parties in the hands of the parties. And the parties have no interest in verifying eligibility.
When you say questions about Mitt Romney, is that because his grandfather was born in Mexico? Is that why you have concerns?
I don't have concerns, but my clients have concerns, and I'm representing them. And they think that all candidates should have their eligibility verified. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat.
Do you think, if you're a Superior Court judge, if you end up winning this race, do you think that your position on these issues will affect your credibility?
No. I've handled between 1,000 and 2,000 cases as judge pro tem. I've handled numerous cases as a family law settlement judge. I've been able to do that. Representing clients has nothing to do with handing out justice. Judges make law every day, and judges need to be open-minded. I mean, I've been attacked by people who said right out that, well, you can't be a Christian and be on the bench because Christians can't be unbiased. Well, that's ridiculous. As much as 80% of the people in the United States profess some relationship with Christianity.
Let's talk about that, because you founded a number of organizations, United States Justice Foundation, Justice Political Action Committee, groups that are closely aligned with what some might call very traditional Christian social values. Do you see your role as a Superior Court judge to uphold those values, or are these things that you hope as a judge you can maintain?
My role as a judge, if I am elected, excuse me, I'm sorry. My role as a judge, if I am elected, is to uphold first the United States Constitution, which according to the California Constitution is preeminent over the California Constitution, then the California Constitution, then the laws of our state. My personal views really have nothing to do with how I rule in cases. I have to follow the law. That's what I'm required to do.
When we talk about your personal views, things like abortion, immigration, you're also the lawyer for the Minutemen. You're the lawyer who represented the Marine who posted some unflattering comments about the president. How do you separate that? If you're a judge and you have a certain worldview, how do you not take that to the bench?
Well, my worldview is based upon the Bible, is based upon the Constitution. As a judge, I would be...
Bible as well? It's based on the Bible
Which is based
upon
the Bible, yes. I mean, if you read the Founding Fathers' documents, they based the Constitution on the Bible. You look at the Declaration of Independence. I mean, they're not talking about some esoteric thing there. They're talking about God. But as a judge, my role would be to enforce the U.S. Constitution, then California Constitution, and state laws. And if a state law conflicts with either of those, then it has to go.
Gary Creep will follow this race closely. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on your show, and God bless you.
Since Joanne did that interview earlier today, there's been another update from the Registrar of Voters. It shows Garland Peed holding a lead of just 601 votes over Gary Creep. 26,000 ballots still need to be counted. And the race in the 52nd Congressional District is also still too close to call tonight. Scott Peters is leading Lori Saldana by just half a percentage point. He's ahead by 795 votes. San Diego's economy depends heavily on federal military spending, so it's no surprise a Super PAC opposing military cuts has been launched here. San Diego may not suffer significantly from proposed military cuts now winding through Congress, but KPBS reporter Allison St. John says its lack of reaching consensus on the budget deficit may mean bigger cuts in the future.
Looking out from the Cabrillo Monument over San Diego's magnificent bay, you can see why it's such a desirable spot for the Navy. About 60 ships are or will soon be home ported here. Admiral James Johnson says studies suggest about a quarter of the region's wages come from federal defense spending.
We've got a little over 100,000 active duty men and women in uniform, roughly evenly split between the Navy and the Marine Corps, plus an additional 25,000 or so civilian jobs that these are directly to DOD. Then when you add in the vendors, the suppliers, contractors, people like that, that's another source of jobs. So altogether it adds up to about 350,000.
Even though the military is being asked to absorb more than $400 billion in cuts over the next decade, San Diego could see gains.
If you look at what the guidance says we're going to focus on, Asia Pacific, that favors San Diego. You can't execute that strategy without using a lot of the assets that are in the San Diego region.
Under the military budget cuts proposed this spring, San Diego should do better than other communities with big military installations because the U.S. strategy is shifting resources to the West Coast. But if sequestration happens next spring, San Diego could be hurt more than other communities because its economy is so dependent on the military.
We think sequestration is going to happen.
Frank Hewitt of the National Defense Industry Association in San Diego says sequestration is a hammer waiting to fall. It's been triggered by Congress's inability to reach consensus on how to reduce the federal deficit. It could mean a 10% across-the-board cut, adding up to $500 billion in additional cuts to defense spending over the next 10 years, starting in January.
There are a lot of companies that are cutting that indirect workforce that's not working direct labor in order to get themselves in a position to weather that storm. So I would expect layoffs in larger numbers from some of the larger companies.
Hewitt says small companies could be even more hard hit by sequestration than big companies like SAIC or Cubic.
DOD has to say, well, we're going to close this production line down in order to protect this one over here. Those impacts could be felt then by the supporting small business contractors that are subcontractors to those prime contractors that are doing those major programs, shipbuilding and things like that.
Former San Diego Congressman Republican Duncan Hunter recently gathered a group of retired military to launch a Super PAC, Fight for America. It's raising money to air ads opposing defense cuts in the budget and sequestration.
When America is strong, our future is secure. But Barack Obama is taking the wind out of our military. Now is not the time to cut defense spending, Mr. President. Not now.
But San Diego Democratic Congresswoman Susan Davis says it's not the president who's responsible for Congress's failure to reach consensus, and that's what's triggering sequestration.
What worries me, of course, whenever you have scary tactics that people choose to employ because they can fund it with dollars that are not traceable, that we're not hearing, the full side of this. These super PACs can say and do anything that they want. Nobody is accountable. And so, yes, they can say that this is all on the president. They can say that this is an effort only by one party rather than another. We know that that's not true.
Davis, who is on the Armed Services Committee, says she's going to fight to make sure service members' pay and benefits aren't cut. But she says there are other ways to cut military spending without compromising national security.
We see that many of our colleagues want to say, well, we don't want to touch defense. Well, I don't want to touch defense either. But in order to not touch defense, everything else needs to go.
Davis says the United States needs to keep funding other things like education, transportation and energy in order to remain strong. A man who's very familiar with the ebbs and flows of federal funding is Greg Knoll of San Diego's Legal Aid Society.
The budget often gets balanced on the backs of poor, elderly, disabled, and the middle class. Do we want to provide health care to people? Do we want to care for the elderly and disabled and the children on the streets? Do we care about that group?
Knoll says he's seeing more and more people becoming disenfranchised.
They don't have what is most important, mother's milk of politics, which is money. So they'll never have a super PAC.
The budget Congress is debating right now includes cuts to things like food stamps, school lunch programs, and housing assistance. While the defense budget could hurt other regions, it does include a small pay raise for military personnel and almost $300 million in military construction projects for San Diego.
Here in San Diego, that we need to fight hard for those areas where we feel we could not afford to cut. And there are some, and then yet there are other areas where we probably could look at and say, okay, this is not as important as something else.
KPBS reporter Allison St. John. Former Congressman Duncan Hunter says his super PAC will continue no matter what happens in November. He says even the budget Congress is considering takes too many resources from the military. The ads will start airing in September. Tourism is another one of San Diego's top industries, and a new report says more tourists visited San Diego's SeaWorld last year, with attendance up 13% from the year before. Themed Entertainment Association says only one park had a bigger increase in 2011. Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando saw a 29% jump in tourists, most of it kicked up by the wizarding world of Harry Potter. UT San Diego won't have a sister paper in Orange County after all. The Orange County Register has been sold to a privately held investment company from Massachusetts. UT San Diego owner Doug Manchester had expressed interest in buying the Registrar. The San Diego real estate market took a nosedive during the recession, and many homeowners are still feeling it. Joanne takes a closer look from the roundtable.
Well, San Diego is starting to see some positive signs in the real estate market. There are many San Diego homeowners who still owe more on their home than it's currently worth. Joining me to look at options for homeowners and where the local market stands are my guests, San Diego real estate broker Matt Battiata and Dr. Michael Lee, director of the Corky McMillan Center for Real Estate at San Diego State University. And in the interest of full disclosure, the Battiata Real Estate Group is an underwriter of KPBS. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Joanne.
Dr. Lee, let's begin with you. So what is your overall assessment right now of the San Diego market, and how does that compare to 2 years ago?
We're bouncing along the bottom, which is better than it was 2 years ago when we were still somewhat in free fall. But that said, while you did indicate there are some positive signs, they're still relatively small, and we're not making significant upward progress.
So we're a little bit better, but in terms of people who are underwater, how many are there?
It varies depending on how you measure it and who's estimating it. I would say between 30 and 40% of San Diego homeowners probably are underwater. Mortgages are worth more than their house, particularly after transactions cost to sell.
So now, Matt, this is where you come in because you give people advice what to do. So what do they do if they're underwater right now?
Well, their options are to obviously stay there until they have equity again, which might be a long time. But if you can afford your home and you like your home and you want to stay there, that's an option. We see a lot of people obviously doing short sales, and usually they're doing short sales after they've already tried a loan modification and been denied. So those are pretty much the options: a loan mod, a short sale, or just stay there. Or, of course, throwing the keys on the counter and walking away, which is the worst option, of course.
And is that because of your credit rating, basically foreclosure?
It's because of your credit rating. It's also because if you have a recourse second loan, in other words, you've ever refinanced your second can and will go after you for the full balance. The benefit of a short sale is obviously it becomes a settled debt and the bank will not go after you.
Are we now entering the wave of homeowners who may be already foreclosed on their home? Are they getting close to where that's cleared from their credit scores right now, and are they entering into the marketplace again?
Well, I don't know, but certainly some people can repair their credit after a foreclosure. We're definitely seeing people who are doing short sales and then buying again. We're seeing a lot of people that did short sales a year, 2 years, 3 years ago who are back into the market, so definitely. Yeah.
Dr. Lee, we've heard about a lot of legislation, bailouts, all kinds of things. How are they playing themselves out right now for the homeowner and for the banks?
Well, I think that they haven't played out nearly as well as the people that created them thought they would. I think our attempts at modifying loans, both in terms of problems the borrowers have and problems in the banking system, have had far smaller effects than we thought. And, I think we're kind of nearing the end of that now, though. The new HARP program that gives you the opportunity to refinance, as long as you're current, regardless of your loan-to-value ratio, is going to definitely help some people, but it doesn't address the problem of the underwater mortgage.
Are banks now being a little bit more open to renegotiating, offering lower rates, and doing various things? Because wasn't there a lot of money put on the table for them to do that? Is that actually happening?
Well, that money is small relative to the size of the problem. I think that banks are more open to negotiating with you if the loan's in their own portfolio, if the loan has been sold and securitized. I think it's still a lot more difficult, and particularly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have not wanted to go down the route of principal modification or reduction, and that's they're the biggest owner of these loans in the area.
We talk about short sales, but you hear over and over that they're really just a pain, that whether you're the seller or the buyer, that they can get hung up forever. I mean, you've got a new book out. You talk about what to do. I mean, in your experience, does it take a long time?
Sure. Yeah, short sales are not short, although they've gotten shorter. So short sales can take, right now short sales take 4 to 6 months, which isn't really too bad at the end of the day. They used to take a lot longer. But the reality is, loan modifications have been a huge failure. There's no two ways about it. The overwhelming majority of people that apply for loan mods are rejected or given such a ridiculously small modification that they still end up needing to do a short sale or even go to foreclosure. So the reality is short sales are really the only option for people who are upside down and need to get out of their home.
Crazy now with interest rates being so low that people can't take advantage of it.
They can't refinance, that's right.
But you've got, what's the name of your new book?
Upside Down Nation. It's the handbook for upside down homeowners, and it's really an extension of the upside down homeowner seminars that we've done over the last year and a half in San Diego.
We've got a link on our website about where you can get that book, kpbs.org. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
It was a big night at the Tony Awards for a musical that started out at the La Jolla Playhouse. The Broadway production of Peter and the Starcatcher won 5 Tonys, 4 of them for different elements of its design, and 1 for featured performance by an actor. It was the second highest number of awards for a single show last night. The prequel to Peter Pan debuted at the La Jolla Playhouse in 2009.
Tonight in the public square. So tell me, have you been to the county fair yet? Eat anything deep fried? Some of you tell us you are staying away this year, especially from the food. We posted this picture on our Facebook account, and here are some of your comments. Melanie says, need a fried avocado, stat. Thank you. Abraham Garcia writes, ah, yes, the most delicious suicide you'll ever have. And voting with my feet, I will not be going anywhere near the fair. And that comes from Susan Martha on Facebook. Well, let me know if you're going to the fair at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. And if you do, send me a photo of what you're eating. jfarian@kpbs.org, or share it on our Facebook account, or you can send it in a tweet.
Recapping tonight's top stories, a new poll out shows the San Diego mayor's race is being led by Congressman Bob Filner, a slight lead of about 3 points over Councilman Carl DeMaio. The poll from our media partner 10 News found 46% of those surveyed would vote for Filner, 43% for DeMaio. The poll has a 4-point margin of error. By the way, Councilman DeMaio gave the only no vote today to the city's new budget. The rest of the council approved the spending plan for the new fiscal year starting in July. It includes a surplus of nearly $18 million. Mayor Jerry Sanders calls it the city's first truly balanced budget in years. DeMaio disagrees, saying the budget is still swimming in red ink. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court was expected to announce whether it would take up the question of the Mount Soledad cross. The High Court's been asked to review an appeals court decision declaring the cross illegal, but the matter was not among the announcements released by the court today. Court watchers say it could mean the justices need to discuss the case further before deciding whether to hear it formally. And next Monday, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission will hold the first of a series of public meetings about its investigation at the San Onofre nuclear power plant. Problems with tubes in the steam generators have kept the plant offline since January, and it's not expected to be restarted this summer. You can learn more about next week's meeting on our website. And you can watch and comment on tonight's stories on our website at kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.